What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Jump. Yesterday, I got a message from Solo TV 84, and it wasn't about what we're talking about today, but rather another video about the Sandman MGTOW video. But I saw that he had a live stream that was going forth to be scheduled, talking about a situation that happened on the Fresh Fit podcast. Now, for those of you who probably know about Fresh and Fit, I mean, they've been around for almost a year. Outside of Kevin Samuels and Kwame Brown, they've been the biggest blow up on the YouTube manosphere space. And Myron Gaines and another brother, Fresh, I believe, these guys take the business very serious, right? I mean, they have a really strong competitive advantage. And I know people don't like to use that terminology in YouTube, but being in the business as long as I've been in the business, number one, they're in Miami. They have an excellent producer of the show. I mean, they're using a Black Magic ATM mini switcher. You know, they have that really nice condo, and then they have a competitive advantage because they have a lot of people in the local area, and then they pay, and they make a lot of money with their courses and stuff like that. And they have big names come through. They fly guys in. They operate the business at the highest level. There's nobody that I know that operate the business like them on Black YouTube. They're exceptional, right? They have a lot of strengths that they use that nobody can reciprocate. Unfortunately, sometimes this strength comes in with some problems, and that is just like Kevin Samuels. A lot of their content deals with having podcasts with women, which makes it very interesting because the women are always going to have different views, right? And sometimes on their show, they have to kick girls out. There are girls that get emotional. Girls have walked out. Kevin Samuels has done it at least 2 different times where girls have gotten up from the table and left. But in this situation, they had 2 African American women in the show, and typically, I don't know about Myron and Fresh, but I mean, I wouldn't take them as guys who exclusively date Black women. Probably hardly ever. But in this case, they had 2 Black ladies from Miami that were on the show. And 2 of these ladies, one of them at least, was very recalcitrant. She was real hood. She was real ghetto. She kept cutting the guys off and stuff like that, and over talking. And Myron just had enough, and he was like, look, you gotta go. Okay. Now her friend who was with her was like, wait a minute, why does she have to go? Because she's just stating her opinion and we're just having a debate and all of that. And then it came to a point where Myron was like, look, you can get your ass up and go too, right? And she was like, well, you know what, I'm not going nowhere. You're gonna have to call the police, and if you keep talking to me like that, and we'll wait till the police get here. So, I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm in amazement. Like, they don't want to leave. Okay, the girl is basically, and I can see why. They have a nice setup. It's very good. Women, they gonna have a hard time getting out of nice people's stuff, right? Sometimes. But I think that the narrative is that she didn't want to go, and it was, they had to really work hard to get this situation solved. And then the elephant in the room is this situation. And I don't want to, be rude to Fresh and Fit because they're nice guys. But the elephant in the room is, to their point, this is why a lot of young Black guys don't deal with Black women. Okay? Because of situations like what you saw. Now, there have been other races of women on their show, and they talk about things like this, and it's never gotten to this level, I don't think. But when it's with black women, what you're going to see is a lot of times they're not able to have these discussions in a way that is, logical, right? Or in a way that is conducive for the conversation to happen. Now, I'm not saying all, but usually this is the reason why there is the black manosphere. There's a black manosphere because typically you cannot have decent conversations with a lot of black women about things like this. And then if there is, some sort of cutting off and the conversation needs to be stopped, then it comes into something like, okay, well, there's a problem. Now, I want to say this. These women did look like they were from a lower socioeconomic background. All right. And they seemed like they were definitely from the hood. But to be fair to Fresh and Fit, this is something that we as black men have seen at all educational levels of sisters. This is not just a hood thing, When you want to have conversations with sisters about what's going on in the black community or what's going on with dating or what's going on whatever, oftentimes it ends in something like this, which is the reason why I've never crossed over to dealing with women in a show format. If I ever deal with interviews with women, and I've done quite a few, I let them talk. I don't say anything. I don't debate because I think it's a waste of my time. And I'm not taking any shots at, Fresh and Fit or Kevin Samuels. For me, I like to watch them do it. For me, it's not for me. Because I honestly feel that the way that I'm built, it's not going to be conducive, right? I mean, I think the way that Kevin has a lot of patience, he can do it in a way where they can understand. He can do things that I can't. Maybe Fresh and Fit's the same way. But I think that this is the reason why you see that black women and black men and Fresh, Myron and Fresh, definitely, I believe, are black. I think Fresh is from Haitian. I think Haiti and Myron might be like Sudanese, something like that. I don't know. But this is the reason why a lot of black men don't even like to deal with sisters. And what you saw, sisters not wanting to leave. This happens, not just with black men of regular middle class. It happens to athletes. They don't want to leave. It happens to a lot of stuff. It's something that a lot of, when we saw what happened with Myron and Fresh, we've all been through that situation before. And some of y'all are going to say, well, why are you dealing with her when, she's hood? Not all black women are like that. We understand that. But all of us have seen that before. No matter what the socioeconomic classes of the woman we're dealing with, it's been very common. And which is the reason why some black men just don't even deal with sisters. Completely. Like when you see that and what happened, and I'm not saying all of them are like that, but it's enough of a reason to be like, you know what? For some guys, I'm not saying for me. I've been through this so much, I just don't want to go. I don't even want to deal with this. And it was sad, to be honest. And the lady didn't even care that she was on camera, And for them, in the way that they operate, with their business, they do an excellent job. There's a lot of risk in having those women in their house, debating women who are off the street, bringing them in the home like that, or bringing them to the studio. I wouldn't risk that. But hey, that's why their channel is doing better than mine, right? And I salute them. I think that those guys are doing really good in the business. They've crossed over to a mainstream audience, something that's always great. They have really operated the business at the highest level. There's nobody that does it like them. They have a strong advantage that nobody else really has, and they're going to be around for a long time, like it or not. Fresh and Fit's here to stay. There's nobody going to knock them off the podcast game unless you have $300,000 you want to invest and have connections in the city like they do. They have shows with Auburn Preach, Kevin Samuels. I mean, Solo's been there, Donovan Sharp's been there, a whole bunch of guys have been there. These guys are going all the way to the top, whether you like it or not, and they're going to be here for a long time. So salute to them. It was a real sad situation what happened, but I hope in the future they can kind of get away from recalcitrant guests. Okay, well, guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again for another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe with the bell. Check out the first comment to the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.